These were haunting things found underwater. In 2019, this GoPro camera was discovered buried at the bottom of a murky lake. It had been lost for years and was banged up, but the memory card inside was in perfect condition. Video on it showed 22-year-old Richard Wagner enjoying outdoor activities like ziplining and playing in a waterfall.
We live in life. We live in life.
The day ended in tragedy when Richard went underwater and drowned. His camera was discovered by YouTube personality Rich Aloha during a dive for treasure.
I'd been given a tip by a state park ranger that if I found a GoPro of an African-American male from 2017, that there was a chance that it would be the guy who drowned. I reviewed the footage and I was just like, oh my God, this is him.
Aloha reached out to Richard's family and they watched the videos for the first time.
They were just stunned, like they were just staring at the GoPro in disbelief. You just feel like you returned something so important to them that words can't describe how it feels. I don't think there's been a more impactful find.
In 2021, Cecil Foster watched his daughter's car that was missing for 21 years get pulled out of the water.
Kind of seemed like a dream almost a dream.
18-year-old Erin Foster and her friend, 17-year-old Jeremy Bechtel, went missing in Sparta, Tennessee in 2000. Police searched as far south as Florida for them, but the case went cold. Scuba diver Jeremy Sides found Erin's Pontiac underwater in Tennessee's Calf Killer River.
I'm lost for words. I'm so glad I could find him. I'm so sad that that's where they ended up.
The river, about 8 miles from the home Erin shared with her parents, is where Cecil had fished for years.
I fished, me and my son have fished over it many times since she's been missing. I mean, right over the car. But, you know, water's always real murky right there. And, I mean, there's no way we could saw, you know, the car anyway, I don't think.
They never had a memorial for her.
We didn't know if she was dead or not. I didn't want to pretend she was dead and, you know, find out she wasn't.
Remains from inside the car were sent to the coroner's office for an autopsy to confirm the identities and determine a cause of death. Sheriff said it was an accident.
I'm kind of numb about it. I really don't know. We've kind of been a way of life for so long, you know. There's a sense of relief there, but there's still hurt there too, you know, and that I don't know if it'll ever go away.
In 2023, Spencer Greiner was out catching fish along the river in Durango, Colorado, when he stumbled upon a lost camera. He brought the camera home. To his amazement, the picture card still worked.
I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I mean, you can like see on the memory card, like it's dirty.
There were photos of someone's bachelorette party, a wedding, even the moment the camera was lost after a woman fell off her raft. Spencer sent out a Facebook message to try to get answers. An hour later, he was contacted by Coral Amai.
I said, hey, this is my camera. I would have never in a million years thought I would ever seen those again. Well, thank you so much. You know, I would have never expected it, and I just really appreciate you. I'm still just blown away.
In 2022, divers found wreckage for one of the worst disasters in NASA history.
So what do you think this is, Jim?
A documentary crew from the History Channel went diving off the coast of Florida. They were looking for the wreckage of a World War II airplane, but they found something else.
Definitely an aircraft. I think we need to talk to NASA. It looks like they're deteriorating.
According to NASA, the divers found a piece of the Challenger spacecraft. The Challenger disaster shocked the world on January 28, 1986. 73 seconds after taking off from the Kennedy Space Center, the spacecraft exploded. All 7 of its crew members were killed. For now, the fragment remains on the ocean floor, as debris from the explosion is property of the U.S. government. In 2018, a team of researchers found the world's oldest intact shipwreck. The Black Sea Maritime Archaeology Project found the wreck off the coast of Bulgaria. It's believed to be from a Greek merchant ship that was over 2,400 years old. The ruins were discovered over a mile underwater in oxygen-free conditions. That lack of oxygen helped preserve the ship's parts. It's just one of several ancient vessels the Black Sea Archaeology Project found in a 3-year span.
We're talking entirely preserved shipwrecks from keel to gunwale. We're talking about still preserved ropes, shipwrecks that literally look as if they had sunk yesterday.
We're looking at a snapshot of a moment in time, probably as long as 1,000 years ago. We're looking at the last moment in the life of a ship.
There are ships down there that have never been seen apart from in murals and paintings and in books. And these are the first time they have been seen since they were afloat.
In 2022, explorers found the world's deepest shipwreck. The USS Samuel B. Roberts, nicknamed the Sammy B, was a World War II destroyer escort. Its mission, to fight off Japanese and Axis forces from the sea. The USS Samuel B. Roberts was there during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, reportedly the largest naval battle of World War II. In October of 1944, during the Battle of Samar, the Sammy B was outgunned by Japan's Imperial Navy. It was hit by a torpedo and sank. 89 of the ship's 224 crew members perished that day. An expedition team spent 8 days diving into the ocean near the Philippines, searching for this 78-year-old war grave. They found it, 22,916 feet, or about 4.3 miles down. Explorers are calling it the deepest shipwreck ever found. Beyond the risks of deep water dives, the explorers had other concerns with the Sammy B. According to lead explorer Victor Vescovo, divers spotted potentially live shells in the 44mm gun on the right side of the ship, as well as depth charges still in their racks. In 2020, underwater engineers found the wreck of a Nazi warship off the coast of Norway. The remains of the German boat were first detected by sonar 3 years earlier, but when crews from a Norwegian power company were able to examine the wreck more closely, they were startled to find that it was emblazoned with the swastika. The Norwegian Maritime Museum was able to confirm that the Old Hulk was the German warship Kosrul. It sailed the seas in the 20s and 30s. It was seen here visiting Philadelphia in 1932, a year before Hitler took power in Germany. Here it is again in 1934, on a goodwill cruise to Australia. By 1940, the warship was part of the German war offensive, landing troops for the invasion of Norway. The warship was sunk in April of 1940 by a British submarine, the HMS Truant. For 80 years, it was on the ocean floor, some 1,600 feet down, undisturbed and remarkably intact until it was brought to light by these new underwater images. In 2017, divers discovered remarkable artifacts and human remains in an ancient shipwreck. Underwater archaeologists in Greece probed the 60 BC wreck. Some believe it's the richest ancient wreck ever discovered. The booty included the arm of a bronze statue encrusted with barnacles. Jewelry, pottery fragments, and other items were also recovered. Now work on the shipwreck continues with experts using sophisticated diving and imaging technology. They believe there are more riches to be found at the site, though what they learn about the ancient world will be priceless. This car was underwater for nearly half a century. The 1974 Ford Pinto belonged to 22-year-old Kyle Klinkscales, who had been missing for 45 years.
For 45 years, we've looked for this young man and looked for this car, and we've drained lakes, and we looked here and looked there and ran this theory down and that theory down. It's always turned out nothing.
In 2021, a 911 caller alerted police to a creek where they somehow discovered the car.
We were able to locate a wallet inside the car. Inside that wallet was his ID and several credit cards.
Investigators say in 1976, Klinkscales was driving from Georgia to Auburn University in Alabama, where he was a student. He was never heard from again, and a missing persons report was filed. Both his parents had passed away, but before dying, his dad wrote a book called Kyle's Story, Friday Never Came, The Search for Missing People. In 2023, a diver made an incredible discovery at the bottom of the lake. It's a prosthetic leg with a shoe. Matt Spreitenberg was diving at Lake Natoma outside Sacramento when he came across his unusual find.
I knew right away what it was, just because I knew that the person lost a leg and they needed it back.
He posted this photo on Facebook. In a matter of just hours, he got a message from a woman with quite a story. Sabia Vargas explains.
A year ago, she and her boyfriend went paddleboarding. They went for a swim, and that's when the prosthetic leg suddenly fell off, shoe and all, and disappeared into the depths of the lake.
I was the first one to pop up out of the water, and I popped up out, and I said, holy cow, my leg's gone.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
He paddleboarded back to the shore and thought he would never see the $28,000 prosthetic again.
It's one of those things in your mind that you just figure, okay, it's gone. We're no longer going to get it. And then when she showed me the picture, I was just like, I just can't believe it, because I know that that is my leg. 100%. I'm just overwhelmed with joy and excitement. I'd give Matt a great big bear hug and thank him and say, you want to go have a beer?
Hey, I'm glad I got your leg back to you.
In 2022, there was an astonishing discovery 2 miles below the surface in frigid Antarctic waters. It was the legendary ship Endurance that sank 107 years before. The Endurance was trapped in ice during an ill-fated polar expedition led by the great explorer Ernest Shackleton. The Endurance's timbers still looked as fresh as the day the ship was launched because the cold waters kept the wreck well preserved. In 2023, rare images of the Titanic on the ocean floor were released. Some of the footage shot during the 1986 expedition to the world's most famous shipwreck had never been seen before by the public.
And then we came in on the starboard side of beam of the bridge, and the first thing I saw coming out of the gloom at 30 feet was this wall, this giant wall of riveted steel that rose over 100 and some feet above us. I never looked down at the Titanic. I looked up at the Titanic. Nothing was small. But then as we rose up its side, because we had to abort the dive at that point because we were taking water into our batteries, and as we rose up after that first dive that lasted just minutes, we began to see the portholes, and it was like people looking back at us. It was pretty haunting, actually.
It took researchers decades to find the doomed ocean liner. The research expedition's engineer explained why it was such a challenge.
Titanic lies in a part of the ocean that you would describe as an abyssal plain. It's over 13,000 feet deep in the ocean. The water is near freezing temperatures, and probably the biggest challenge is the remoteness of the location, and in particular the harsh environment with regard to the pressure that our equipment is exposed to. So every square inch or centimeter is being pressed into a smaller space by the crushing pressures of the ocean at this kind of depth.
And what the expedition's cameras captured wasn't just rusting metal. It was a graveyard. When the Titanic sank on her maiden voyage in 1912, some 1,500 people perished in the disaster.
You were physically seeing their remains, which were eaten away and the bones dissolved, but sitting there were pairs of shoes. After the Titanic sank, those that went into the water that didn't have life jackets died of hypothermia, and their bodies came raining down. So it was like tombstones all over the ocean floor. A mother's shoes with her baby's shoes. It was very powerful imagery to see where these people came to rest. And again, reinforcing that you were at a very sacred site where so many people died. And I think everyone wonders in their own mind, if I were there, what would I have done? Would I have, done anything to save my life? Or would I have, like the builder of the Titanic, Andrew, gave up his life jacket to a female passenger and went and sat in the smoking room and sat there and never budged till the ship went down with him. So it was just amazing play of humanity.
The Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute made the footage available to mark the 25th anniversary of the release of James Cameron's Titanic motion picture. A shipwreck mystery left under the sea since 1940 was finally uncovered in February of 2024. Researcher Dan Fountain, along with the Great Lakes Shipwreck Historical Society, found the Arlington, a 244-foot bulk carrier ship. It sank over 80 years ago in Lake Superior.
Okay, I'm coming up on something.
Using sonar, the team was able to get its first look at the decaying World War II era ship, where it lay about 35 miles north of Michigan.
I'm at the smokestack, the bottom of it that was bent over. Now I'm going over the top of it.
Captain Frederick Burke, nicknamed Tadybug, set sail on the Arlington on April 30th, 1940. The ship was full of wheat and bound for Owen Sound, Ontario, Canada. It was a foggy day and a stormy night. The Arlington began to take on water and sink. The entire crew made it to safety except Captain Burke. He went down with the ship. It left many to speculate what really happened and why the captain perished when everyone else survived. Fountain said he hopes learning more about Arlington's final hours can provide some measure of closure to the family of Captain Burke. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindall.